Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us Tim Hughes. And thank you everyone for coming today for the show. I love you all. Thank you for all the support. We're going to get into speaking with this gentleman here. He's next level marketing person. So we got to get really into his information, bring out all the gold so it can serve people out there. Tim, we always like to kind of allow the guests to introduce themselves, just makes it better. Please go ahead. Stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. My name's Tim Hughes. A couple of things. So what I'm famous for is I'm famous for writing the book Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers, which has sold over 6,000 copies. I run a company called DLA Ignite, and we help people transform their sales teams to use social, and that's what I'm famous for.
Social selling.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So is this the primary book? You have other books too, right?
Yes. So I also have a second book, which is this one, called Smarketing, How to Achieve Competitive Advantage Through Blended Sales and Marketing, which is about bringing sales and marketing teams together, which I think certainly through social media and through the pandemic, where people have had to sell remotely, that it's become even more relevant. And I've actually just signed a contract for my third book, which I can't talk about, but it will be out in October next year.
That's amazing. So you love writing?
I do. I actually, yes. Until I wrote my first book, I never saw myself as a creative, and it was only after I'd actually wrote that first book that I actually saw myself as a creative person. And now I do. So, and I love writing. I love taking the information we have and basically giving it to people and getting people to understand how to do things. And, I love coming on podcasts like this. So, which is a way of sharing the information. Well,
it's an honor to have you here, Tim. It's amazing.
As soon as you contacted me, I wanted to be on here because, I think it's so important that we get out and talk to people and not sit in ivory towers and pretend that we're something we're not.
And it really is usually that shift, right? When entrepreneurs or people in business, they find out that what they do, and then they find that they have something special, and then that they have that realization that, wait, I need to serve people with this. I need to bring this out to the masses. I need to impact. It's that change that creates this content and books and all this transformation.
I agree with you totally. I mean, part of my job as being an entrepreneur is to get out and talk to people. I mean, how do we get out our message? Well, it's by talking to people. So so absolutely, yeah. And I love coming on these things and talking. And the great thing about the pandemic was that we're now used to doing this sort of stuff. So, 2 hours ago, I was speaking on a panel session in Hong Kong, which normally would have taken I would have had to fly out there and spend an hour and then fly back again. And now I can sit here in my slippers at home and talk to people across the world, and it's accepted.
Yeah, it's so true. And I love this lifestyle. I love it. The amount of people that you get to meet and speak to on a daily basis has transformed. The amount of meetings you would have in a week.
Yeah. So there was a day the other week where I was speaking at a conference in Moscow in the morning, and then we've got a US Californian-based software company we're transforming. And I'm training them in California in the afternoon. And then just the ability, I mean, I know we've had this technology for years, but it's more the acceptance that it's okay that I can sit here in London and talk to people across the world. It's wonderful. And the point I'm trying to make probably is that if there's other entrepreneurs, is that you can get and scale up and run a global company very, very quickly.
Very quickly. Very quickly. And it's the same situation with my partner, Dwayne, and I. We're launching a startup. And we were talking about it the other day that, comparably back 50 years ago, a startup and a startup now, you really just need to be online, just need to be in front of people, and you can get any kind of message out and to masses. If you're passionate about what you do, and if what you're saying, you're really coming from inside, people can tell. People can pick up on repeat or something that's coming from heart.
I often have to stop myself because I'm talking, and I often say to people, I'm probably being a bit too passionate, and they say, no, this is the passion. We love it.
Yeah.
You obviously really love this subject, and I do. So, but yeah,
that's awesome.
And you can. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that we were covering in the panel session was about how to get started, which is just get started.
Just get started. Yeah. Just do it, like Nike says.
Yeah.
Who's the picture in the back?
This one here.
Yeah, the black and white. Yes.
This is my partner's father.
Oh.
He was a Spitfire squadron leader during the Second World War. Handsome guy.
Yeah.
He was But one of the things we forget is that he was in his 20s when he was going up into the sky, knowing full well that he probably wouldn't come back again.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
But then he became a pilot he was a pilot for the rest of his life. So, but yeah, that's Dennis.
Oh, very good. And then
we love him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can tell. That's awesome. I love like history, right? Like people and buildings and stuff like that. It just fascinates me. So that's why when I saw a black and white picture, I had to ask. What happened that moment that you decided to write your first book? Like, what was it? Like, you were already in business then, right? Like, what triggered? Okay, let me put some focus.
I was actually working for a big US corporate, and I'd got bored of what I was doing, and I didn't really. I knew I didn't want to carry on doing what I was doing, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And they very kindly paid for me to go on a blogging course. My manager said, "Just expensive, just pay for it." And the person in the blogging course said, you got to be famous if you're going to be on social media, you need to be famous for something. So this is not famous as in Kim Kardashian, but it's about being known. I always come on and say I'm the social selling guy because that's what I'm known for. I'm just, and much you've got to be, you've got to be famous for something. So I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know what, and then I went, I'm going to be famous for social selling. And at that point, just everything just seemed to fall into place. It was just one of those, lightning, and from then on, that's what I've done. And I had the opportunity to leave that organization and start my own business with my business partner Adam Gray. That was 6 years ago, and this is what we do.
It's amazing. And were you as
fun than sitting in the corporate world?
I'm sorry.
And it's better fun than sitting in the corporate world.
Yeah. Huh. I used to be in corporate. I didn't like it. So I agree. For entrepreneurship, so it happened around that time then? After that, that's when you started continuing on into business?
Yeah. So I realized I wanted to do something about social selling, but I wasn't quite sure. Anyway, Adam and I he worked for the same company. We would sort of like talk and say, look, there's a gap in the marketplace. People aren't taking social media seriously. They treat it tactically, not strategically. And that's where we got the embryo idea of what we wanted to do. And it was, I was in the corporate role when I actually got approached about writing the first book, Social Selling. It just became obvious that I needed to break away from it and start my own company. And because the momentum was so much that, that you just needed to do it. And I talked to a lot of people, and everybody says we should have done it 5 years before. Everyone always says, and I'm probably the same. I should have done it. I enjoyed the salary coming in every month and stuff like that. And even though I was frustrated, and I should have left and done it before.
Yeah, because as a human being, I always say this, that we have so much potential. I just don't like seeing people wasted in 9 to 5. I might upset people, whatever, but I don't like to see it. And even the working the design of employee was, it's a recent, right? Like early 1900s, everybody was in trade. Like trade is like that creates economies and builds countries and everything, right? So what you do is amazing, and that's the purpose of this podcast, is to bring more and more people, bring them out, and bring that awareness that you can do it, Tim. Someone else can do it, right?
Well, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So yeah. And I think, that if you do what Adam and I laugh because what we do doesn't feel like work. We do what we're passionate about. So in effect, our job is our hobby. So it doesn't ever feel like work. We've flown the world, and we've been to all kinds of places, and we work with lots of I won't say difficult customers, but what we do is that we're taking people through a transformation where they're going from used to do one thing to doing something else. But the moment, I've been in so many situations where people have come up to me and hugged me and they said, "You've changed my life."
Amazing feeling.
And it's like, and I write on my LinkedIn profile that basically I was crying in a session. I was crying in a session the other day. And I'm sort of like, and I said to Adam, I said, "Don't play I said, if you play the recording back, you'll see me well up." And I went red in the face, and I started, because these people were just suddenly realizing about the change that they can go through and the change that they need to do by being on social rather than doing what they did in the past. And that is just such a wonderful feeling. And I say this I'm sharing this not because I'm boasting. I'm just sharing this because I want other people to feel the passion to say, you will have a skill or something that you were really, really good at and you were really passionate about. And other people will be so amazed and pleased that you share it with them. And don't sit there in that job, taking the money, take the hit. And because the pleasure of sharing your passion, your skill with people will outweigh anything that you can, any super fast car on the drive or anything like that. We all have, there's 2 days in the life which are really important. The day we're born and the day when we realize why we were born. And that is the thing that you need to understand, that you need to understand why you were put on this earth. We have a very short life, use it and share your passion.
And that's a good point, because I also agree with you, because I find that anybody that's on this planet is here for a reason. And I find that frustration that comes into people's lives because they're not living their purpose. Because if you think about it, like it took us 100 million eggs swimming upstream before we were created, like 100 million times. Imagine, like we're going and then died. The next one, like after 100 million times we were born. There's a reason we're here, and to find that purpose and go after it, it's amazing. And I love hearing this kind of stories. But I just want to ask you another question, Tim. Can I call you Tim? Yeah, Tim. I thought it was Tim, Timothy. Sorry. Yeah. Was there a mindset shift ever in your life? Meaning, because the way you're speaking is that this seems like there was some inner work that was done, or are you naturally have that mindset for business? Like anything on mindset side of things?
I don't know. My background is in sales. I've always been in sales, so I've always been very commercial. So it's kind of natural for me to go out and I'm an introvert, so it's not natural for me to talk to people, but natural for me to in effect do what is done in sales. And I've been doing it a long time. I knew that what I was doing in the commercial world was stifling me, and I remember sitting once in a canteen and just sitting there and thinking, I just don't want to do this anymore. And then it was, well, what do I do? And there was a number of situations where I kind of went and bumped into things. Well, should I do this? And I was looking at other people and go, well, there were certain people who were out there doing sort of like, is it because I was working in the tech world? Do I need to do something in tech, or is it? And I think that was important to actually go through the process of saying, no, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. And certainly what I would always say to people is that experiment. and make mistakes. And the great thing about the mistakes is what you need to do is you laugh about them, because what you're trying to do is actually try and find what it is that you want to do. And it might not come to you as a lightning bolt, because what may happen is that you do need to actually do something. No, that's not right. That's not what I want to do. And that experimentation, and actually having the guts to say, no, that's wrong. I'm not going to do that. It's got to be something else. And I think it's so important that we have that whatever you do, also you need to experiment. We're very clear in the culture within our organization that we experiment, and people will go, I did this and it didn't work, and we go, brilliant. That's amazing.
Good. Amazing. Yeah.
And you got to give this
trial and error. Yeah, no, it's excellent. Excellent. And because with those kind of failures, you get so much knowledge in the big picture of things that you can create something or try something that turns out to be unique because of those trial and errors that you went through, right?
Yeah, but failure is a training course. It's you learn about those things, and you go, I tried this and it didn't work. I remember I was applying to a particular company, and looking back on it, it would have been a massive mistake, because I thought there was a particular path that I was going to go on, I connected with people to make sure that they were basically sponsoring me to go to this particular company, and it would have been a massive mistake. And I'm glad it didn't work out. And sometimes when things don't work out, you go, it was never meant to be.
Never meant to be. Everything happens for a reason. So
I think so.
That's great. Yeah. And can you give us some juicy stuff now? So what do you think the top 3 or some kind of information for 2022 in regards to social selling that could help people?
Okay. There's 3 things you need to know about social selling. The first is about your profile and what you're like on social. The second thing is your network, and the third thing is content. So the first thing, let's go through those. So the first thing is about when you're on social, your profile is in effect your shop window to the world. It is and if you think about someone walking down the road and they're looking at different shop windows, remember that there are millions and millions of people on social media. So the person is literally walking past your shop window. What you need to do is you need to get the person to be curious about who you are, because first and foremost, you're selling yourself. So what you need to do is you need to create that profile, not as a CV, not as this is what I want to sell you, because people don't like being sold to. This is about creating a profile that people will go, that's intriguing, that's interesting. I'm actually going to open the door of the shop and walk in. So, for example, if you look at my summary title on my LinkedIn profile, it doesn't say CEO, co-founder, or anything like that. It says should have played Quidditch for England. And the reason why it does that is it's that summary title is the most visible thing about you on the internet. If you Google yourself, what you'll see is Google will usually bring up your LinkedIn profile, and it will show your picture, your name, and that title. It's the most visible thing about you on the internet. And what you want the person to do is go, that's interesting. Should have played Quidditch for England. What does that mean? They're now on my profile. If they're on my profile, LinkedIn will tell me that the person's looked at my profile. I've then got an opportunity to go and have a conversation with that person. So I've moved the situation from here we are as a static profile that nobody cares about. And what I've done is I've moved that into an ability to have a conversation with somebody. The second thing you need is a network, which is about connecting to all the people that you want to sell to, you want to influence, or influencers within your marketplace. What you don't do is write to them and say, I want to sell you something, because the moment that happens, everybody goes, don't want to touch you. What you do is you use it as an opportunity to strike up a conversation with people. So just like we're having now, as you said, 2 friends get together, we're having a conversation, and it's just this. just like you were in a networking event and you go
Yes.
to somebody, you would talk to them. It's not
Exactly.
buy my product because it's great. You have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the
Building relationship.
conversation will go, go two ways. It could go one,
Yeah.
The person isn't interested, or it could go to a call. I was having a call yesterday and they said to me, so does this social selling stuff work? I said, so how did we get here? They went,
yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a conversation on social and now we're on. I said, yeah. And now I'm pitching what I do. And they said, oh yeah, it does work, doesn't it? The third thing that you need is content. And the reason why you need content is buyers are looking for help. They're looking for advice. They're looking for insight. We're looking to be entertained. We're not looking for brochures or brochureware or anything like that says buy my product because it's great, because every company says that. We're looking to be entertained. We're looking for insight. And what your job is to do is to provide that insight. So for example, think about the 3 business issues that your ideal customer is facing and write about them. So if you come to anybody, please come to my LinkedIn profile. It's Timothy Hughes. And what you'll see is that we don't talk about our products and services. What we do is that we share information about, so today I shared information about how you can use social media to find the best people and to retain the best people. So this is me, I guess you could call this serving people, but this is me helping people and saying,
it's all about that.
You can use social media to do these things. And this is why that's a really good idea. There's nothing about my company or whatever. And you'll see that I come on these things because this is content. This is content where people will tune in, and I will get people watching this and they'll come to me and say, Tim, I really loved what you were saying. And if you do love what I say, then please come and see me. And if you don't, then don't. And people love what you're saying, and I'd like to be in touch with you, which is great.
And do you have specific pillars of content that you can share here? Like, do you follow a specific pillar, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 when you create content?
I don't. I'm actually not very sophisticated. I just share content. What we tend to do, and we advise our clients, is that you mix the content up. So there will be a written piece one day, maybe a video the next day.
Understood.
Maybe and what we find is that if you're sharing stuff about the company, you won't get much engagement. If you're sharing stuff about yourself, what you'll find is that you'll get more engagement. Why is that important? Whenever there's engagement, what you're doing is that you're showing that you have something in common with the person. So for example, you go to a meeting and you see a picture up on there and you go, so who's that? So, well, it's Dennis. And what we've always done in sales is that we've tried to create that, we try and create that commonality. I came on here and said, I love your fountain, because I do, I think it's brilliant. But what we're doing is that we're using what we can see around them to build conversation and build trust with that person. And that's what we're doing with content. So what you'll find is that people think, I need to be professional, I need to share brochures. You don't. You need to share with your audience something about yourself, something that's interesting.
Yeah. And people see it because in the video, for example, when you're making a video, the falls, for example, and the wings, those are like 2 things that always kind of come up. So that kind of gives you the indication that people want to do business with people. They want to connect heart to heart. So, hey, what's that falls about? What does that mean? What are the wings about? They want to get to know you. So this started up conversations, and the wings of freedom. So you need to have those things, and I completely agree. To create such an environment that you have more and more connection to people, which is so powerful. What is your go-to strategy, though? What is that one strategy that you say, this is what I always do to grow my business?
So what we do is we just repeat what I've been saying, which is you tend to do your profile once, and then what we do is that we just every week we connect to people. So it hasn't been. It's been until this point. Say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my main social media platform. Then Twitter. Then Instagram. And what we do all the time is that we grow our networks. We make our networks as what wide and as varied as we can get them. And every week I connect to people, and that enables me to have conversations. Every week I create content like this. Every week I appear on panel sessions. Again, this enables me to grow my network and to have conversations with people. And every day I post content. I create content every day. We post content. All of the team post content every single day. It will, as I said, it will be varied. It won't be the same thing, but we know that if we don't post content, we are invisible to our clients. So we do it every day.
Every
but
day
I mean,
I just
had something which is one of the things where you can get some magic, where I appeared on a panel earlier today in Hong Kong, as I said. Yeah. Sorry. Somebody saw that. Somebody then found a podcast that I'd done with Neil Schaefer about influencer marketing. She, who I'm not connected to because I'm a third connection on LinkedIn, then posted that and said, "This is an awesome interview with Tim Hughes. You really need to listen to that." And it's one of those things where I don't even know who you are. You're not even in my network. And you've basically said, I found this about Tim Hughes. You need to listen to this. And this is a thing that quick people often miss about content. Content isn't just about what we're going to do is that we're going to sell something. Content is about creating something that what we're doing today, where I'm giving you expertise. People will look at this and then go, do you know, I think that's really important. I'm going to share it out. And what happens is that one of the beauties about social networks is that you've got the ability for other people to share your influence through their networks. So rather than, I come here, I'm here because you're going to share this podcast through your network. So I'm going to go through your network. You invited me because and then I'm going to share it through my network. So you go through my network. Yeah. So I know that, that's the game that's played. But also what you're able to do is that the great thing about social is this ability to share this influence through lots of different networks that you would never, ever get to. So it's not just about, we talk about not just selling to your network, but through your network's network. And that's so powerful. And it is like witchcraft.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. And, this initially, when I started this podcast, it was more about finding, understanding the 3%, right? Like how they operate, what they're doing, how they do things in business, all that kind of stuff to consume information. And it started evolving, saying, hey, you know what? These people can share on their network. And people started sharing on their network, it started and then I realized the picture was painted in front of me exactly, what I'm doing, but it wasn't really kind of a starting point. It didn't start that way, evolved. Yes. But I think, yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that, I was talking about earlier on, which is that, nobody, when you do start it as an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So share something with you. So it wasn't until we'd been running the company 4 years that we actually wrote a business plan. And the reason for that was that we actually didn't know. Everyone says, oh, you need a North Star. Well, actually, we're not quite sure where this is going. We have a very clear vision about what we want to do. We're going to change the world. But apart from that, we're not quite sure how we're going to get there. And what would happen is that because of social, things turn up. So, for example, in 2017, a guy called Thomas Ross basically contacted us and said, I think what you're doing in social is really interesting. Can we resell your programs? And Adam and I looked at each other and went, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, that sounds like a really great idea. So he and I thought we were going to take the summer off. We ended up spending the summer with an IP lawyer and building the program so other people could actually take them on and resell them. And we now have an active reseller program. And that's one of those things where just something turns up.
Good.
I never thought about that. And so even though people say you need to have a plan, yeah, you kind of need to have a plan, and you kind of need to have that very clear vision. But if you're active on social media, you just don't know what's going to turn up and what's going to happen. And and that Thomas came to me. he'd seen me on a podcast in April 2017. He didn't come to me until July 2017. He signed as a reseller in October 2017. And you just don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. And then can you elaborate on this reseller program? If somebody's listening and they're in business, they say, "Ooh, I want to share Tim's information," right? This is now part of our go-to-market strategy. That what we do is that we empower organizations around the world, so usually marketing agencies or sales training companies or even individuals, to in effect to sell and deliver what we have created, which is a program based around social media, social strategy, and transforming organizations. So we have somebody in Peru, we have multiple people in the States, we have people in Europe. You train them.
And we train them. We train them and they give us a royalty. So they actually keep most of the money themselves. So even the motivation behind it is that they sell, they make money and they make a living, and we get a royalty. Now, the great thing for us is that in effect, we're selling stuff, or people are selling stuff for us while we're sleeping. And we're not having to take the cost of that business and the risk of them selling on. If they sell, we get something. If they don't sell,
it's good. It's fair.
But for some organizations, it's I've talked to a lot of people about it, and having that license, go to market, it for some organizations works well. Other people want to keep. Well, we're kind of in control, but we're also not in control. But it's a great way that we've found to actually scale and scale up scale up globally very, very quickly.
Can you send me an email with this information, please? I might be interested for myself.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. Always trying to look for ways to make things better.
And the thing is that what we do is that we offer the key thing is that we offer full training. And we're constant, because social media is changing all the time. We actually have training sessions every Monday, every week. We basically run a training session, and it will either be Adam or I will be training stuff, or what happens, we get together and have a chat. So we just had a new salesperson join Brentney in one of our marketing agencies in the States. And we just went through with her and said, these are the top 5 things that you need to do to be a success. And I got one of my other resellers to say, look, Eric, you started 12 months ago. You're now our most successful reseller. If you had that time again, what would you do? Tell Brentney what you would do. And that was it's so powerful to not just have to say, this is, I can say say, this is what you need to do, but having another reseller on there actually saying, Brentney, this is the 5 thing, every day you need to do this. It's so powerful. And having that worldwide network now of people that are sharing expertise it's just a wonderful thing to watch.
No, it's excellent. It sounds great. Another question I wanted to ask you about creating super fans, because we all love super fans, right? And the relationship you have with super fans. Could you give us your top idea when creating content or social selling or whatever we're doing in business to create more super fans?
It's a really good question. I've not ever been asked that one before. So
no problem. It's very common on this show.
Is it? Okay, right. So, we see that we actually see it's a fundamental part of business that we see that there's kind of there's 3 types of people that you'll come across. There's people that you can sell to. There's people that you may not sell to, but they may refer you. And that's important that you understand that not everybody is. Don't bang your head against the brick wall of people and think everyone's going to buy from you. They're not. So there's people that can sell it to you. There's other people that will go, no, what you're doing sounds really interesting. My brother-in-law is actually doing something like this at the moment. I'll refer you. The third thing is what you're calling super fans. We would say it's about people that are willing to amplify you. And that's they will amplify you because first and foremost, you've got to remember that they are, for this person to have shared my stuff on LinkedIn, she's putting it out there that and staking her reputation that what I'm doing is good. So first and foremost, you have to be nice to everybody.
Yes.
Don't be rude to people. Remember, no. you seem like you seem like you've had a
I know exactly what you're talking about too. That's why I'm laughing.
Would have told you to say please and thank you when
very much.
When people say, the moment this finishes, I will write to you and I will thank you for coming on my podcast, coming on your podcast. And that is so important, that your pleases and thank yous, and thank you so much. Well, yeah. And also you've got to share with people what you know. So Adam and I have basically, if you took all the thousands of blogs that we've ever written, you could sit there and you could basically build your own company like ours. We've shared every single piece of knowledge that we had. Quite often people say, well, you need to share 80% and charge for the 20%. We've shared everything. And because we've done that, I think that people respect it. Now, I don't believe people will want to spend the time putting it all together but the thing is that if you want super fans, you need to be authentic. You need to share insight. I'm not saying value because I don't like the term. You need to share insight. You need to have and come up with ideas yourself. And what you'll find is that all of a sudden these people will just appear. And I've got a whole bunch of people that I know that like my stuff. And I don't know why they like my stuff, but they do. I've not created them, but the other thing to remember is that this isn't actually about, it's not actually about me, it's about them. And building a community is so important. There's a saying that I often talk about, is community before commerce. That community of those people and that community of those super fans is more important than you. And you're just serving those people. Sorry.
Yeah, community is so important. That's why we have a Facebook community, is Super Mindset and Sales Mastery, where we just bring people and I love this term, by the way, insight. I always say value, but insight is actually for sharing your insight.
The thing about the term value is that nobody, if we did a competition and we got all of your viewers to write down what they thought value meant, they'll all be different.
Yeah.
So if I say you here is something different than which is why I don't use, it's about insight. It's
too
about
broad.
Insight is tell me something I don't know.
Yeah. Insight. Value could be taken a lot of different ways. It's too broad.
It is quite often when you say, I've had salespeople cold call me and they say, I'm trying to bring you value. And it's like, you're not bringing me value. Because you're trying to sell me something I don't need, and therefore it's not a value to me. I don't value it. And there's a thing about, okay, what a plastic bag or a Rolls Royce, what's the most value to you?
Depends on the moment too, right?
Well, if you're just in the position where you're at a supermarket and you've got loads of and you bought loads of groceries, the plastic bag is more value to you than the Rolls Royce.
Yeah, exactly. At the moment, right?
So it's down to that person to understand and work out what value means.
I like it.
Which is why I just used the word insight, because it's kind of different. This is what I'm trying to do today, is explain to people a whole bunch of concepts. And I want them to walk away today and go, Tim Hughes, I think he's a really good guy. And I think he knows his stuff. Yeah. No, definitely. I definitely agree. This is great.
For when we have guests over on the show, we usually like to ask them what their inner superpower is that got them to this point. So I want to ask the same question to you. Is that what is that inner superpower that you feel that got you to this point, wherever you are in your life?
I remember watching that. There's a famous TED talk about grit. And I can't remember who did it, but I watched it and I went, that's me. And for me, it's grit. I am horrendous. Adam and I have a very clear vision, and we're going to achieve that vision. And every day it can be sound really boring and laborious that I create a piece of content every day. But I know that I have to do laborious and boring things every day to achieve what I want to do in the future. And I've created a piece of content every day for at least 2 years.
Oh.
And I've not stopped. And that's because I know that you've got to do these little steps to achieve what I want to do in the future. And I think that's down to this definition of grit that seems to be going around. As I say, there's a famous TED Talk. Watch it, and if you watch it, that's me, what they describe.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's excellent, and it brought me back to that. That's a great superpower, and a lot of people, they don't realize it, but they have that. They have that gold. They have something that got them. Sorry, my computer just popped up a screen here. Something, they're holding within them that don't realize that it actually moved them that far in their career. And it's so important to bring that out and bring it on the surface, right?
It's true. I mean, until I'd watched that TED Talk about grit, I didn't realize there was something about me that I couldn't describe.
Yeah.
Until I actually watched that, I went, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I get that.
But it made it a lot more clear for you in the future and what you're doing as of today, right? Like when you found that out,
yes,
that it helps you, So it's incredible.
It's sometimes having that, so you actually understand it. It's having that determination. Yeah. And I see it in my my partner laughs about my well, we both, you can see certain things in parents, from your partner, and you go, look, that you get that from your mother, or you get that from your father, or whatever. I get, my mother is very, very determined. She can shut down and just focus on something.
Wow,
and as a child, you kind of probably don't really recognize it because you kind of see it every day. But yeah, there's something, I've got,
but that's,
I know where I'm going.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. But that what you're thinking about your mother, that attribute, that quality was impressed in your subconscious mind. Like it's part of you because it was in your environment,
it's in my
DNA.
You.
That's what I mean. It becomes you. Your environment dictates what you are, right? Or what you create, it's just your product of your environment. So that's excellent that you picked that up. Well, you know what, Tim, it's been incredible having you on the show, my friend.
Thank you.
All the information you shared today, and just to meet you, a good person doing good out there. I love that, and I want to support in every way.
You're welcome. I as I say, I love, as soon as you invited me on, I thought I've got to do this. It looks really exciting, and it's been great. You're a great host. Thank you so much. You're a very good podcast host.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. You have no idea how that feels. You know what you were saying about earlier about when you do things that person came up to you, changed my life. Like really, it comes down to that more than money. When you get to a certain point, it just, that feeling of hearing something like that has so much more weight than like money. You get, it's a tool, you bring it, you say, oh, okay, great, you put it in, right? But this, what you just said, will stay with me now, right? Like it'll stay with me the rest of the day.
You said when before we started pressing the record button for the listeners, you said what I want to do is it's a chat, and it has been a chat.
Yeah.
And you are very good at asking questions. I know that you've got a number of set things, but you're very good at taking it and I think, and it's a lovely environment to sit here and talk to you. And I think that again is a superpower of you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you so much. And it was an honor to have you as well. So
You're
grateful
welcome.
that you came on the show, right? And we want to stay in touch. It's really important that when you meet people, good people, it's important to stay in touch. And anytime that you need anything, if you're in Canada or anything, let me know. Or if anything that you need any help with or something, just let me know.
Of course.
I love building relationships, and then I'll make sure to keep an eye out on your profile. I should spend more time on LinkedIn. My VA does, but I should spend more time there as well. I'll try to consume your content as well and support you in that manner. Let's see where this goes. Yeah. And again, thank you again, and I hope you have a amazing rest of the week. And a prosperous and healthy and wealthy life.
Thank you. You're welcome.